So let's go through this real quick. Now, the biggest reason, look, everyone can read it. You've done the applications on yourself. So you're going to say, hey, this is easy stuff. It's not that hard. But in reality, you're going to be asking people a lot of personal information. And what I'm going to tell you is the less of a big deal you make out of it, or the less embarrassed you are about asking the questions, as we discussed when people are married, if they're gay or whatever, the less you make it a big deal, the less they make it a big deal. You need this information. You need to ask them the Social Security number. You need to ask them how much they make and what they do. You need to ask them, are you divorced and why and what happened? Because all that stuff will play into this. So part of what we're doing in reviewing it and role-playing it is so that you're relaxed when you get there. That's really what this is about, giving you more of the semantics of the business on a real life basis than taking a test and doing the stuff on the test, okay? Anybody can study a book, go to a test and pass it, but that doesn't mean you have any clue on how to do the business. Most people end up going, what do I do now? And then we got to start from scratch, okay? All right, so if we start on people and borrow information, the way it's laid out here is exactly the way it's laid out in the computer. It starts with the borrower. The borrower in the past was always the male, and the co-borrower would be the female. That was predicated on the fact that in the past, many women didn't work. More women didn't work than did. That doesn't mean that both didn't. So predominantly what we look at today is whoever the stronger borrower is in terms of income, okay? So if the wife is really working and making 110 and the husband's working making 60, you may want to put it, but it really doesn't matter who the borrower and who the co-borrower is. I had one family, D'Amico, David D'Amico up the block. Yeah, you know his son, Chip. The lady was adamant, why am I a co-borrower? There is no valuation to being a borrower or co-borrower. Somebody has to be written on the form first. Somebody's got to be written on the form second. There is no less ownership by being the borrower or the co-borrower. All right, look, I'm going to switch. I don't know, but if we were 9, I'd be all right with it, but we're not. And we're late, so I need to move forward. So either shh, or I'm going to move your seat. So if anybody asks or gives you a hard time, borrower, co-borrower, no differentiation in ownership, no differentiation in valuation or anything. Somebody's got to go first. If they're fighting over it, just say, you guys, let me know who wants to be the borrower, who wants to be the co-borrower. I've been there. I've been in a room where people were, doesn't matter to me, and then I would have to choose and go, who makes more money? If it was her, I go, all right, I'll make you the borrower. So it doesn't really matter. All right. First thing you start with is the name. And you want to be very, very specific on the name. So my name would actually be Edward William W. We use a W, Kenmure III. If you don't put the third, you're going to get my father and my grandfather's information as well as mine. And if they have poor information or they have a lot of debt and it shows up on my credit report, that's a problem. And what's important is what's on their ID. Because when you get a passport and a driver's license, you usually bring a birth certificate to do it. So if it's Edward William Kenmure III, it says Edward W. Kenmure III, okay? And I can't write on the application Edward Kenmure, and my ID says Edward W. Kenmure III, because now all the docs are screwed up again. So again, this is where the detail, the proof is in the details. If you screw this up, they're going to be asking you to redisclose. We got to change all the paperwork. You're going to lose a day at closing. Hey, man, what's this? And that's what we always ask for ID when we do the application. We need ID.
ID has an official name. It's not going to be anything.
Correct. We need your driver's license and your social security card. So I always say to them, you know, for instance, my father-in-law's name was Buddy Cortese. I thought his name was Buddy. His name is James. Okay, but I never knew anyone to call him anything other than Buddy, and all we ever called him was Buddy. Am I right? I didn't know his name was James for. Not realize. Well, it was probably about a year later when I was going to do a loan form. So, you know, people use nicknames and they go by the nickname. Buddy has nothing to do with his driver's license, has nothing to do with his social security card. And you go, oh, James? When did that happen? So you're not going to have their ID in front of them. Most of the time, you're going to qualify someone over the phone. So you want to be very specific. Name, include junior or senior if applicable, third, fourth, whatever. Middle initials, very important. Social security number. That's your ID for the world. That's everything. Your social security number is how you take it. Don't worry about it. Sit down and get moving. So social security number, make sure you get it exact. Okay? There are things called TIN numbers. As people who are come to the country and they have a TIN number, which allows them to work, but they're not citizens. Okay? And they don't have a full social security number. It's a work number. It's called a TIN number. Okay? So if they have a TIN number, then you work on a TIN number. Home phone. Who here has a... It's the same thing, yes. You would put the TIN number in the social security box. All right. Phone number. Home phone. Who here knows if anyone has a home phone number different than their cell number? You have a different home number?
Yes.
There's actual home phone?
Yeah.
Damn, you're in the minority. You too?
We have it, we just don't have it.
I don't use it, yeah, because we lost
no one
it.
uses. Yeah, no one uses.
So, no one really uses it. If no one uses it, they don't have to worry about it. You're going to put, and in the sections in Encompass, the computer, you're going to put the same number for the cell and the same number for home. So nobody answered the home phone, so I said, screw it. Get rid of it. No one even picked up the phone. I sat there one night about 5 years ago and waited. Ring, ring. Not one of my kids or my wife got up and answered the phone. And that's when I went, cancel, because no one's going to answer it. If I'm not home, who cares? So that would be the home phone number. Whatever number is best to reach them at. DOB stands for date of birth. You need month, date, and year. When you put it in the system, they always want it to be January 5th, 01, January 5th, 05, and 2000, 2000. That's the way you put it in. Here, you could just put 15-2000 on paper, but in the computer, it won't take it that way. 2 digits, and 4 digits, just like it shows. Years in school. The box is there. They want you to fill it out. If nobody wants to tell you, they have you guess, put 12, put 16, whatever it is that you think makes it work. If they're doctors or they went to graduate school, I ask them, how many years of school do they have? And they tell me, and then I put it in. Next box, married, unmarried, separated. Very, very important. Married is very simple. Includes registered and domestic partners. If they don't have a piece of paper or a religious paper, then it's not married. So married specifically means a religious marriage, justice of the peace marriage. If they came from another country, they say they're married. We don't really ask for proof, but you'll know by going by the names. You'll have the names interwoven over there. Unmarried includes single, divorce, and widow. Now, it's kind of weird that they don't make you ask for that and separate it out. It used to be single, divorce, widowed. So it's kind of a prejudicial rule that you're not supposed to ask, but then you have to ask later, because what happens when people get divorced and have kids? Does anyone know what significant
things your child.
Yeah, they're older guys. So when you get divorced, you may have alimony payments, whether she's paying him because he wasn't working and she was, whether he's paying her because he was working and she wasn't, whether one of them makes an extreme amount of money. You know, you hear about the stars breaking up and they got prenups. Well, you know, a couple of famous movie stars, female, got married to bums. Oh, let's use Britney Spears, married a kid who was in a bit, well, she had to give him a whole bunch of money and some child support money. So it doesn't matter how it goes, it's there. So even though you don't have to check off those boxes now, down the road, when we get into the information, you're going to ask. And at that point, I would say, single, or are you divorced? Normally, widow doesn't come up unless somebody says something and it shows up. But I normally say, oh, are you divorced or are you single? You can usually tell. Younger people usually aren't divorced, but you want to ask the question. I would ask it sooner than later and make my notes on the side. Divorce, I know what I need. I need divorce decree. I need the property settlement, okay? Because I'm gonna have to use that to qualify later. Separated is important as well, because I could be separated, not divorced, and buy a house. But the person that you're separated from has to sign a form that says they have no interest in the property. Otherwise, since you're still married, they would have an interest, and if anything went down, they could sue. So those forms come in from closing and let them know. So we've actually had a case where people disappeared, didn't know where they were. And I'm like, look, we don't even know where the lady is. So we had to set up an affidavit and stuff like that with attorneys. What's up?
So if they're divorced, you would just put unmarried, not separated?
You would actually just check off the box. It just allows you a box to check it off,
Yeah, you
unmarried.
married, unmarried, and separated. So I'm saying if they were divorced, not separated, you would hit unmarried, not
Yeah.
separated.
There's just one box there. You have to check off the box. It covers all three of those answers. And then you have to ask the question.
Separated is separate.
Back in the old days, there was a box in front of each one of those things. They got rid of it. Don't ask me
So
why.
you would check off unmarried. They were
Correct.
divorced.
And then you would need to ask if you thought there was a reason. See, that box there kind of answers a question what we can't ask. But if you fast forward to the last page, which I don't have on me, does everyone have 5 pages?
No, we all have 4.
Really?
Yeah, four.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go to the last page, look at top right where it says Section 8 Declarations.
Yeah.
There's a series of questions that you ask the borrower, and the answers are yes or no. Are there any outstanding judgments against you? Have you been declared bankrupt in the last 7 years? Have you had property foreclosed on? D, are you party in a lawsuit? E, have you directly or indirectly been obligated to pay any loan which resulted in foreclosure? And if you go all the way down to G, it says, without asking them if they're divorced, are you obligated to pay alimony, child support, or separate maintenance? So it's kind of a backdoor way of getting the answer.
So without asking them up front directly.
When you answer that question, you look up an answer. Now, if they say no, that doesn't mean that they're not divorced. It just means they don't have to pay anything, and you still need the papers. I bring that up because probably in the first 5 years of being in business, I'm doing an application for a brand new married couple in her parents' house who are very Italian. So the mama, she is speaking like it is. And she say, hey, Edward, can I see you for a minute? And she brings me in the next room just to give you the flavor of the lunch. She says, now, we're going to give it a gift, but I don't want them to know how much money I got, because then they're going to take all of it. So I'm giving you that scenario because as we're sitting down, they just got married like a month before. They're living in her family's house. And I get to the questions and I go, I'm going to say no unless it's a yes. So I go to both of them. Are there any outstanding judgments against you? No. I get to all the questions. No, 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 no. I get to G. Are you obligated to pay alimony, child support, and separate maintenance? I go, no. And as I get to the next question, he goes, hold on. I was sitting in the middle of the table. The father was on my left. The mother was on my left across. She was in front of me, and I remember to the same, he was at the head of the table. I said, what? He goes, oh, I have a kid.
Oh, that's crazy.
Nobody knew. The girl jumped up and said, what? The mother ran and got a knife. Okay. I started playing referee. First, the screaming started before she got the knife. By the time I got done, I was under the table because I wanted to leave. Needless to say, people think that this shit doesn't happen. You are going to hear and see stuff. I mean, now being on a computer, you're not there as much. We did most of this stuff face to face. They had no idea. I'm going to tell you, they didn't buy the house. And I didn't hear from anyone ever again. Okay. I'm not sure if he got killed, cut up into pieces, and was in the stew. or what? But the truth is, this stuff happens. It really, really does. Okay? So don't be surprised. Don't get shocked. I mean, I think I was 26 at the time, and I went, what? Just like that. Totally shocked, because the reaction of the three of them was out of a TV comedy show. It really, really was. She started screaming. I started hitting them. The mother got real serious. Didn't say a word. She just got up in the kitchen, came back with a knife. They didn't know. He never said a word.
He never told her.
Never told her. Ever.
And then why did he say it right there? Because you had that.
Well, I asked the question. I asked, did you pay alimony, child support, or separate maintenance? He was paying child support.
She never knew.
Never knew he was paying child
How
support.
long were they married for a while?
No, they were just married.
Oh.
All right. So every one of these questions dovetails to other questions and documents that we're going to get. And that's where I'm saying it's important. That's why all these questions are so important. You got to be very detailed. Don't rush through your application. Dependents. So that means how many people, whoever the main borrower declares on their tax returns. So if they've got 3 kids, you're going to put 3, and then you get the ages, 12, 9, 7, whatever the answers are. That's very, very important, because as we get down to the back, whether it's alimony, child support, or if you have a woman that you're qualifying for a loan, or a husband, whoever happens to have custody of the kids, they may be getting child support. And you have to have 3 years worth of income, which we'll go over when we do income in the income section, and the types of income. But if you have kids and you have custody and you're receiving alimony or child support, either one, you have to be getting 3 more years from the date of closing. So if you're closing on August 15th of 17, you got to have that income coming for a minimum of 3 full years. And that's where we need the agreement that says will be paid till they're 18 or 21. So if the kid's 17, I don't think it's going to last, right? The kid's 11 or 12, makes sense. You're going to have at least 3 years, okay? Because child support doesn't disappear even if you get remarried. So again, that's important to put the ages. All the information is cross-referenced with itself.
What if they're claiming a parent as a dependent on the taxes?
Then you write that down as well. The main key, it doesn't deter anything. Really what it does is helps as you move down the line. As they were putting the form together, they're like, well, if you have 3 dependents, I know the answers. If you're getting child support, I know those answers. And then I know how to dovetail it back together and ask and get the right paperwork that I need.
But if it's a parent,
But if you have a parent, you can put that down as well.
do you have to have legal documentation, like from
No,
an
but
attorney?
the minute you hand in the tax return, it's going to say I declared them. Right? In your tax return, if you're declaring your parent as a dependent, if you're not declaring, if they're not on your tax return, you don't put it down. You understand? If they're doing their own tax return because they're getting Social Security and they're just living in your house, that's not a legal dependent because your tax return you're not declaring because he's declaring himself. Okay, so basically, it's what would you find on the tax? On the tax return. Present address. That would be the address that they're currently living at. Okay. Now, sometimes there's a little discrepancy because they could be getting out of college or living with some roommates right out of college, but their home address is still their home. Their driver's license, their paperwork, and everything they have is still registered to their parents' house. So I kind of look at it when I have someone young, I already know to ask, well, listen, where's your license registered to? Where does your mail go? Oh, it goes to my mom's house in Middletown, my mom and dad's house. So this is like the place you got right after you got out of college. Because the problem is I now got to do a history. Just put it over here, Bubba. I'll take it.
There's a copy. I did it. It worked. So we saved half of it.
There you
So we
go.
learn something every day.
Yep.
Yeah. I gotta wait for you now.
So you have to have a 2-year history. 2 years is very, very important in this business. Almost everything we want to know about you comes in 2s. Borrower and co-borrower, how many years you've lived somewhere, we want 2. How many years you're on your job, we want 2. So 2 years is very, very specific in our business. So if someone's in college and that's really not the address that they use, it's just a college dorm or they just got out, I usually put this answer. I'll put the family's household because that's what the tax returns say. That's where the pay stub may say. That's what the driver's license says. But in most cases, this is where they reside, the house that they're in. And we need a 2-year history. So if they're living in that location for 1 year and 8 months, what do you think I got to get?
Actually, 2 months, so they lived them before.
I got to go get the
For two,
where'd you live
4,
before that?
4
Oh, I was at home with my parents. Great. What's that address? And how long were you there? Oh, I was there my whole life, so that'd be 18 years. Great, 18 years. And now he's been living there almost 2 years, so he's 19, 20. Got it?
I have a question. So, like you said, if they didn't live for one place for a whole 2 years, and then they lived somewhere else for like maybe like a month or two, so you have to get 3 places that they've lived.
Absolutely. I gotta get a total of 2 years. There are little tricks, but they can only be done if it's done right. Like I said, you're in college. Well, you just get your first apartment and you're there for 8 months, but you had 3 dorm apartments. Well, really, you used the home, so you kind of can get rid of it. But if someone's been moving around every 6 months, that's an issue. Because remember, we talked about that 4th C, the character part, credit, collateral, capacity, and character. So people moving around all the time and moving jobs all the time, that's like a red flag on lending. Why are you moving around? What's the story? If you're in the military, that's a whole different story because you get moved around from base to base and from, country to country sometimes. But it's very important to kind of develop a picture while you're putting your application together. It's really what this is. It's like a resume, a life resume, so to speak. All right, mailing address. Some people, because it's an apartment, will get a P.O. box number or use their former home as a mailing address. If that's the case and everything is mailed there, that's where you're going to go. I've really seen that very rarely. Normally, their home address is the address I use. If residing at present address for less than 2 years, complete the following. Former address, own, rent, number of years, and as he asked, have you been in 6 places in the last 4 years and you really use 6 places? I need all 6. And you got to get into what month they were in, what month they were out. As you fill in the forms, it'll ask for that. On the co-borrower side, it's the exact identical information, and it should dovetail in with the front side. Okay. If a couple are married and they have 3 kids, you're only going to put it on one side because if you put 3 kids in, 3 kids in, that would be 6. They don't have 6 kids. One's listed at the top, one's listed second. Usually it's the male, unless the female works and he doesn't, and then we go down that way. Any questions on that? Now, as I mentioned in the very beginning, it's the first time with this set of documents, they actually have a signature page for both the borrower and co-borrower on page 1, and they got an initial section. The only page that was ever signed forever was the last page. But in the event of people doing fraud and getting the back page signed and changing the front to make it easier to do a loan and finding out it wasn't true, people didn't get a chance to see it and would say, hey, I didn't put that information there. They just changed it on me. Meanwhile, they signed this paper 4 times before they got there. They signed it at application. They signed when we sent. They signed it at closing. It was there, but they wanted to make it specific. So now you have to initial every page. All right, section 4 is employment. So before we go to employment, is that the main thing, again, I'll just reiterate for 5 seconds, is detail. Whatever the middle initial is, whatever names they go by, South American Hispanics. What's different in their names, especially in the women? Can anybody tell me? Anyone know? Does anyone know a girl from South America?
They use both their mom,
I
their
love this
maiden,
kid.
and their father.
That's right. So if you are doing a mortgage application on husband and wife, and they're from South America, her name could be Maria Bonita Vasquez Domenico. And you go, well, what's Vasquez? That's my maiden last name. They go by their full names. Okay? So don't be surprised. Ask, what do you go by? You may not always have the direct, like especially when you're on the phone, if you're dealing on the phone, you're not going to have anything to look at. If you're with them, I always say, can I have this? Take a picture of my phone so I have it with me. So be very specific when you ask and be very specific when you fill it out. All right? All right.
Father's name, right?
Hey, Josh, make sure have Eddie show everybody where the leads are.
No,
Have
we're
him
not,
show
we're not even,
how to get.
Wayne, Wayne, I'm not
Yeah.
going near that yet.
Huh?
Right?
Okay.
There's no reason to go near that yet because we can't,
Okay.
they can't do anything with it. And did you see my email this morning? Dwayne? Hello? Is he there?
Yep, I'm here. Good.
Did you see my email this morning?
Oh, your email. Hold on. No.
Yeah, it didn't transfer over.
Okay.
I have Lauren working on that.
Okay. I got it. Okay.
All right. Mine are on one page. This is how detailed and complicated an appraisal is. This is an actual appraisal, since we did property last week, on a borrower. We kind of whited out the names, but basically it's full of information. And what's important on an appraisal? We're verifying what the value is. They're also verifying that the property is in decent shape. You can't close on a house if there's holes in the wall, utilities aren't working, the carpet's ripped up, and things like that. So this document will have all this information. Plus, for any number of reasons, they want to know what the neighborhood is like. So when you read this through, and I expect all of you to take a real good look at this during the course of the week, it's going to go through a lot of information. For us, the most important stuff is the physical condition of the property, what it's worth, and why it's worth it. Because sometimes these numbers come back different than what we expected, and sometimes we have to go through it and figure out why. No one else in the organization is going to figure out why your borrower's appraisal came in low. So it'd be up to you to pull it out and look at it and see what's wrong for you to be a consummate professional. I could look at it, but if I have to look at every one of yours all day long, I can't get my work done. So everyone needs to understand what's in here. So we'll kind of go breeze through some of the pages. This is pretty much the first page without being the bill, because only the first page is the bill. First page is going to put the address, the town, the state, the zip, the borrower's name, the owner of public record. In this case, it's Proximo Properties 1, LLC. I chose this one only because it was also investment property, and it will include an estimate of the rental income, okay? So you're getting two things without me having to give you two appraisals. You'll see how they come up with a number, and you see how they, mark up a rental income. It also tells us what county it's in, Duval. Assessor's parcel number. It's going to have all the legal information that we discussed last week on the property. The assessor's parcel number, tax year, so it's the last tax year that they have on record, and what the taxes are. Now, I look everything up on the internet. I show Paolo where to get the information. I just go to Zillow, pull it up, pull the address up. Any one of those things will pull up information because it's now all digitized. It's all, used to be we had to wait and ask the borrower, what's the taxes? And then wait for the appraiser to call the town to get it. Now, you can get anything online, just about. But here, you're verifying what the taxes are. Neighborhood, Sycars Creek, Unit 2. Map reference, census tract. Occupant. Is the occupant the owner? Or is it a tenant? Or is it vacant? If you look, the box tenant's checked. It will tell the underwriter what's going on with this house. So if someone's telling me they live in a property, but there's no furniture in it when the appraiser gets there, it's going to check off vacant. And that's going to be a red flag. Why are you doing this as an owner occupied if no one lives there? Oh, I'm moving in tomorrow. We just got married. Whatever the answer is, these are the things you need to know beforehand. Otherwise, it's going to create a problem down the road because your underwriter is going to be looking at this and say, owner occupied. Why is it a refinance? Why is it empty? If it's a purchase, well, it's empty because the other people moved out. No one's even going to question it. Okay, it would say vacant. Special assessments, PUD. PUD is not like, we're not calling it a bad name. PUD stands for Planned Unit Development. So has anybody driven around and seen those gated communities?
I own one. I own a pub.
She owns a PUD. So what does a planned unit development mean? Predominantly, it's not a condominium. It's a house and you own the land, but you're inside a development where you may have an association that takes care of garbage, snow. The city doesn't take care of it, like where you guys all live and most of us live. The city comes by and plows. The city delivers, takes up the garbage. When you're in a planned unit development, you're kind of in a community, kind of like a senior development. You could use that as an
It's
example.
like a townhouse association. It looks like townhomes. That's
Right. But some of them could be houses.
Yeah.
Sayreville has them as houses. So it's not a condominium, although that is a planned unit development, but it's different because PUDs are fee simple. Remember, fee simple. I own the land and I own the sky. Condo, everything else can be the same, but I only own what's inside my four walls. So that's very important to look at. If there's a homeowners association, which there isn't, there would be a number there, and it would say, do you pay by year or by month? Property rights, fee simple. Leasehold, other. Other would be condo. Assignment type, it's a refinance. This is now where the appraiser, the underwriter goes, hey man, this is a purchase. Why'd you check off refi? These are the, and your underwriter reads all 35 of these pages. She has to go through it in detail for mistakes and accuracy. It's a very detail-oriented job. Lender is also noted on here. And for the most case, the borrower can't say, here's my copy of the appraisal, screw you, I'm going somewhere else and take it, because it's got our name on it. They would have to get it with their name on it. And the appraiser's gonna go, well, you gotta give me another $500, because he doesn't wanna work for free. So he's just not gonna give this up, okay? The only time that's not the case is in an FHA deal, and we'll worry about that when we go over specific products. Address, this gives you the regular call name, 215 Main Street, number 28, Toms River, New Jersey. That's our address. Okay, because that's corporate. Has this property been offered for sale now or in the last 12 months? And we check yes or no. Tells you who it was deeded from. If you go to the next section, it talks about neighborhood characteristics. Is it urban? Is it suburban? Is it rural? Give me the name of a town that would be urban.
Newark.
Newark. Give me a name of a town that could be suburban.
Somerset?
Hillsborough.
That's right. And give me an urban. I mean a rural.
Hamilton.
Jackson is going to be more suburban now, but close.
Hamilton.
That's it. Hamilton. Somewhere where there's a lot of farmland. Okay. Farmland is the key. Suburban means it's not as dense as a city, and urban means rural means it's farmland, lots of acreage, less houses. Towns may only be like 1,500. New Egypt, out down by us here, that's the next town beyond Jackson. Jackson is like on the border now, but you can get Jackson considered rural in a lot of sections. It asks how much is built up, over 75%, 75-25. It gives you all the little things, 1 unit housing trends, property values. If you look at the box, it says stable, okay? Give me an idea why property value would be increasing. Now, there was 3 boxes there, increasing, stable, declining.
I guess new property being built around it.
That's right. So maybe you were in a more of a rural area, and now there's condos and houses and other houses being built, and it's driving up the price. Stable means everything's normal, and decreasing could be It was a problem like Sandy. Values went down the shore, but now they're climbing back up quicker than ever. And they're worth more than it was before. So you lost value for a while, now it's coming back. Gives kind of a number of a price, present land use, 1 unit, 2 unit, multi, commercial, other. Gives you a flavor of what's going on. Boundaries, neighborhood description, market conditions. This first page really is all about the house or the condo or whatever it is that we're financing. It is going to tell you all the details. For me to go through each one doesn't make sense. You can read it. It's very simple. And then if there's any questions, I can answer it. Page 2 is very important because this is where they're starting to get into evaluation. Where am I coming up with my numbers? And we always have a minimum of 3 comps, and it could be up to 6 comps. If we're not happy with the numbers, the underwriter may go back, I need 2 more comps, I don't like the ones you use. And then the appraiser's got to comment why. But let's take a look. So what they try to do is match your house to 3 other houses that have already sold and closed. Not listed, sold and closed, okay? So if you look at the top, it'll give the address of all the houses. This one is Gavigan Road in Jacksonville. The second one is Destine Lane in Jacksonville, Majestic Cypress in Jacksonville, and Majestic Cypress in Jacksonville. Now, you guys all know that you can live in the same town, and one side of town's houses are more expensive than another.
Yeah.
Same answer here, which is why they don't want you to leave the neighborhood unless you have to. That's why they give you that 1 mile radius that you're supposed to be in, unless that takes you to another town, it takes you to another section, okay? Every town has its sections. Proximity to subject. The first one's 1.07 miles. The next one must be like right next door because it's 0.04. And the next one is even closer because it's 0.02. So all these houses are in the same neighborhood. The square footage on the houses, the next line says sales price. Number 1 sold for $175, number 2 sold for $165, and number 3 sold for $174. Square footage cost is $130 a square foot, $112 a square foot, and $109. And you'll see why in a minute. Data source. That would be where you got the info from. Usually it's from the NMLS. Then there's adjustments. If there are any concessions for sales. Concession is where the homeowner paid part of the closing costs. Here's the next biggie. Date of sale. Time doesn't matter to me, but the date does. 5 of 17, 10 of 16, 1 of 17. Which one is the oldest sale?
Ten of 17?
The oldest sale, the one that sold the longest ago.
Oh, the 5. So
Which one?
number 2.
Number 2 is Jackson.
Closed in October of 2016. So I'm really going to like the May and the January because that could be telling me about trends. Okay? And if you notice, the 1 in 16 is the lowest one of both of them. So you see how you can tell a trend? They're all the same size. They're all pretty much identical. They're all in the same neighborhood. But last year it sold for 165 and these two are in the 175 range.
So with these houses, you would have to choose them yourself.
No, appraiser doesn't.
Oh, okay.
This is an appraisal report. It's not your job because you have a bias in the actual application. You and I might go find a house that's worth $600,000 and say, look, great house. Yeah, but it's 10 miles away and it's 10 times bigger.
Okay.
That's why we have the appraiser do it.
I'll do it for you.
Location says residential. Leasehold fee simple. They're all fee simple. Site is telling you how many square feet it is. View again is residential. Design. Remember we talked about the design of a house. Traditional, 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 traditional. This is now in Florida. So what's traditional up here, which may be a colonial, isn't the same in Florida. These are all ranches. So to them, it's a traditional house. It's not a contemporary. It's not a modern. It's a regular ranch house. So it's kind of traditional. Quality of construction, those are codes. Actual age, 22 years old, 27, 24, 22. So it looks like all these houses are pretty similar. Condition, they have a code. Above grade. So above grade means how many rooms are above the ground level. Because rooms in a basement don't normally count. So if you build a family room and a bedroom in a basement, although it makes it more intriguing to buy, you can't really count that because it's below the land. So all these houses are above grade, and we have 6 total, 3 bedrooms, 2 baths. 6 total, 3 bedrooms, 2 baths. 7 total, 3 bedrooms, 2 baths. 7 total, 4 bedrooms, 2 baths. 1,400 square feet is the next line. 1,300, 1,400, 1,500. So it's kind of funny. Well, it's not funny. The 2 7s are a little bit bigger, only by 25 feet and about 100 feet. So the third comp is the one that closed in January, is actually the biggest. It's got 4 bedrooms, and it's about 120 square feet bigger than the closest one. That's important. You don't want to take an 1,800 square foot house and match it to a 1,400. That's a whole nother room and a half, okay? Functional utility, it gives an average cooling. It tells you how it's cooled. Central air, and FWA. FW, forced water. That could be the heat. Efficiency, thermal windows, garage, 2-car garage, 2-car garage, 2-car garage. Porch, and it's got 2 doors. They all have stoops, except the last one's got a covered porch. Fireplace, none, 1, 1, 1. Now, all of a sudden you look, this is what's important. You see our house has no fireplace, but all 3 of the other ones have a fireplace. Can anybody tell me why you put minus 2,500?
Try to take the comps and bring them down to what the houses that they're purchasing.
Okay, so bring it down and bring it up. So because our house doesn't have a fireplace and the other 3 do, they're going to take $2,500 off their price to make it the same as this house. They're saying a fireplace is worth about $2,500 on the open market in value, okay? Makes the house nicer. So if that house sold for $165 and it has a fireplace and mine doesn't, we're going to take $2,500 off the price and make it $163.5 or $162.5, right?
And the word I was looking for was adjust. They're
It's called an adjustment. If our house had the fireplace and they didn't, they would take the $2,500 and put a plus and make it bigger because they want them all to be the same. So if ours has a fireplace and theirs don't, they're going to say, well, we're going to add $2,500 to this one because it would be worth that much more if it had the fireplace. So you're going to see in this box pluses and minuses, okay, all the time.
When you mean add 2,500, you mean just in terms of value?
Look at and making exactly and adding a value.
So
He's got to come up with a value.
Okay.
So your house has a fireplace and mine doesn't. So if you sold for $175, well, I don't have a fireplace. So they're going to take $2,500 off the value of your house so we can make your house similar to mine. Okay? That's how they calculate the numbers. Net adjustments. There's percentages there that they have to go by. I did research the sale transfer history and subject property comparable sales. If there was anything crazy, like someone sold, like for instance, in that box there, that third comp, remember I told you last week about the house on my block that's for sale, 100,000 less than mine, but it's a divorce situation. And I think they might be in foreclosure. So they got to get out quick. He would note things in these boxes. The number 3 is a distress sale, which altered the value of the property. If they could wait normally and everything was normal, it wouldn't take that 100,000 less. Okay. Also, there'd be a lot of adjustments. He doesn't have a pool. He doesn't have stamped concrete. He doesn't have landscape. He doesn't have tile or wood in the floors. You know what I'm saying? All those things on that other house would be to market. He would get pluses. So if that house actually sold for 100,000 less, and it was plus 20,000 for the pool, plus 5,000 for a finished basement, plus 6,000 for hardwood, plus everything he doesn't have would be a plus to that number to make it like the house that we're doing. We're not going to go through all 35 pages, but you guys will take a look at it. Towards the bottom of the page, it says indicated value by sales comparison approach. So you've got the number of fronts saying indicated value by sales comparison approach 166.2. So after he reviewed all this, did all his adjustments, he said this house that we're refinancing is worth 166,200. By what those sales were and what the adjustments were, that's how he calculated the number. Now, remember we talked about there's a number of valuations. So he gave the number that it's worth from the sales approach because that's the most important. But there's a couple other numbers that are important as well. The next line down, again, he indicates value by sales, 166.2. Cost, 171,833. What does that mean?
If you want to rebuild it.
If you wanted to rebuild this house, the price of the material and labor today and the cost of the land would be around 170 and change. Income approach. Only because this is an investment property we're financing, we have an income approach. Okay, if we were doing this as an owner-occ, it probably wouldn't have it there. But since we're renting this house, we want to know, what does the return of investment make this house worth? And they're going to use a simple 8 to 9% return of investment, and it says 167.7. So that means the rents in this area are strong because the rent that he's getting is making it worth more than the actual cost approach, the actual sales approach. But normally they use a sales approach to go by. So those are three indicators that if I had to take this house back and rent it, I'm going to get a number that makes it even stronger than if it was just a guy buying it for himself. Now, in here, there are pictures. There's probably 28 of 35 pages is just regular stuff about their certifications, their name. And in this case, he actually pulled 2 more comps, and it's down the road. And then beyond it, if you go to page, so doesn't have a page number. It actually gives you the rent approach, single-family comparable rent approach. Page 8. Go get page 8. That's the one I really want to show you. Tell me when you find it. The top part in the dark box says single-family comparable rent. So they went and got 3 rental comps, and the rents on those houses that are very similar to this were $1,425, $1,300, and $1,300. So towards down it goes, we estimate the monthly market rent as of July 5th to be $1,300. That means he could expect to get $1,300 in rent. But I know this guy, the guy who owns this house. I'm the one doing the loan. He's only getting $1,100. You know why he does that? His tenant hasn't moved out in 5 years. He says to the guy, you take good care of it, because if you have to move, you're going to spend at least $200 more. So I'm going to give you a good deal, and you give me a good deal. You take care of the house, you let me know if anything goes wrong, and you take care of it like it's your own. That doesn't mean the guy has to make the repairs, but take care of it. Keep it clean, keep it neat, do what you got to do. And in essence, his house is never empty. He never has a month where he gets no rent because he actually gives him a good deal. So he can go get $1,300, but what would happen if those guys saw another apartment at $1,100? He might move. I could save $200, just like you would if you own a house, and I could save you $200 in your refi. You get rid of your old mortgage and get a new mortgage because I'm saving $200. So that's his business plan, and his apartments never get empty unless they're buying a house. And most of the time, he offers them the house that he's in, because then he goes and buys another house with the money. So he kind of makes it work for him that way. Towards the back is pictures. Let me get you those pages, because that's very important when you find a discrepancy. Pictures start on page 21. So here's our house. There's a picture of the front, a picture of the side or rear, and a picture of the street. Every appraisal has to have it. Now he's got to go to every room and take a picture and mark it. Living room, breakfast nook, kitchen, master bedroom, master bathroom, second bedroom, third bedroom, second bathroom, and now you got pictures of the comps. There was a time back in the middle 90s where there was a lot of fraud in the business, and appraisers were being paid a lot of money to perpetrate the fraud, and the comps, they would take an address and take a picture of the wrong house. It's hard to do that now. Take a picture of a nice house when the house is actually burnt down rat trap and say it was worth money. That was where the fraud was going on in that case. Now, everyone can go online and pull up the property and get a Google Earth picture of it. So you still had pictures then, but now with technology, it's much harder to do any kind of fraud. So each house here kind of says, hey, they are similar houses, except that number 2 looks like they got an extra room over that garage, right? And if you look, that's the one with the extra bedroom. And that's the one that sold in 16 for less money. So it shows you the market must be getting stronger in that neighborhood. And I guarantee you somewhere in this appraisal, if we were doing it, processing and underwriting class, we'd be going through every page. But for your purposes, it's not that important. And it's comparable 4 and 5. He also is taking a picture on the following page, which is 27, of the rented units, just to make sure that we're not looking at fancier houses than the one that we have. Next, he's got a drawing of the property, gives you a layout of the house. And now you have a map where every comp that he used is marked off, so you can see where your house is and the other comps. All this is in here and geared to make sure we get a true valuation. Who are we protecting by getting a good valuation of this house? The client and the lender, absolutely. Absolutely. Because in the cases of the fraud, many times those people were in it, but if an appraiser goes in and says everything's working, and they move in and the heater doesn't work, they're going to complain to the appraiser. He has to carry insurance. Could have broke down, but normally they're there. So we're protecting the borrower, making sure he's getting a good value, and we're protecting our money, making sure we're going to get paid back. Any questions on the appraisal?
Can you contest the appraisal?
We don't use the word contest, but we can challenge the appraisal.
Rebuttal.
We can rebut the appraisal. I like that line, rebuttal. Contest is a strong word. Many appraisers might not be happy with that. But normally, so does anyone have an idea? Let's say you were buying a house or you were doing a refinance. And you thought the house was going to be 200, it comes in at 160. Now the numbers don't work. Can anyone give me any ideas why that house would come in less, and how would we rebut?
Because of the other houses that have sold for less in the neighborhood.
Okay, so you got a premise. House came in less because there's a comp in there that came in for less.
Not enough comparables. Not enough comparables.
Not enough comparables. he couldn't find enough comparables in your neighborhood similar to your house, and the ones he had were low. Why would they be low? We just talked about it.
Oh,
Why would a comparable kind of be low in your neighborhood, if in fact it is?
If it like sold earlier. If it was
Sold earlier, what else? Come on, I just told you.
Oh,
Why?
maybe it doesn't have like the example like fireplace.
Well, fireplace isn't gonna make it come 40,000 low.
I mean,
What are we talking about, a distress sale? Did I just say my neighbors are getting divorced and could be in foreclosure?
Yeah.
He gotta give it away. So all of a sudden, he doesn't, now, the appraiser has no idea that that house is in distress. He just knows that it sold for 100,000 less. So he's gonna put the comp in. This is where you have to go, hey, Bob, do you know anything about your neighbor that closed? They were 100,000 less. Oh, yeah. They were getting divorced and they ran out and the house was trash. Oh, so now you would have to write a report. We would rebut to the appraisal management firm and say, please be advised that comp 2 is low because of this. Okay, and what they can do is check with the realtors and verify the story and go get a couple of additional comps. And what we try to do is maybe pull a few comps, especially if it's a purchase. Hey, Mary, you know the house you sold came in low. Do you know what happened? Let's say it's a purchase and not a refi. Yeah, it was a distress sale across the street. Can you pull me some comps similar to this, maybe around the block that he didn't see? And then the realtor could say, absolutely, and pull up 3 more comps. And then we get it over to the appraisal management firm. They give it to the appraiser and he goes, okay, I'm gonna keep this comp, but note that it's a distress sale, and I'm gonna use 3 additional comps to help bring up the value. Okay? Because the appraiser is gonna go for the first 3 he finds in the closest proximity to the house. He doesn't know why. There's nothing that says in the NMLS report that says borrowers must leave. They were getting divorced. It's just listed for a number and it's sold for a number. They really don't put that in. There might be in the listing agreement motivated sellers, but they're not going to tell you the story, because if I put in my listing agreement, getting divorced, are you going to come give me a decent offer? Or are you going to owe me? They're probably going to come in and offer me less than the 100,000 that I have it up for. You might knock off another 50 because you know I'm in trouble. So they're never going to list that they're in trouble. They might just say motivated sellers. Okay. You wouldn't want to contest a property value that came in higher than you asked. But I will tell you, an appraiser will never really bring a house in too high. Right, Kev?
Yeah.
Kev, tell the story on the one you just had.
It just came in like 30, 40,000 lower, 30,000 lower.
Well, but give the number that it came in higher.
What do you mean?
You only came in a couple thousand higher. Wasn't that your deal? You thought it was going to come in more, but you didn't really need the number?
It was 825, but no. They thought it was going to be 825. It came in 770.
All right, so house came in at 770. I thought there was another one. Was it
No,
yours?
that's
Or
it.
someone
But
else?
their LTV was so low.
Yeah. So we got a loan. We got a loan that the loan to value was only 25%.
Right.
And the appraiser came in a little bit low, but we really don't need to fight it because it doesn't matter. But recently someone in here had a sale that was lower, but we didn't need the number. So the appraiser only brought it in 2,000 higher. And they said to me, well, why is it only 2,000? I know it's worth 10,000 more because there's no reason to bring it in more. You're going to go off the lower number, the purchase price of the value. If they bring it in too high, the underwriter's going to come back and go, why did they sell for that price? They sold it for 15,000 less than they could have. You get questions like that because there could be a reason. Maybe there's something wrong with the property. Maybe there's a big giant hole I got to check out. So underwriters get suspicious when they see things like that. All right?
Does that happen always on a short sale?
Be specific. Does what happen on a short sale?
Where the appraisal comes lower than what it's really worth?
No, I would say on a short sale, the appraisal probably comes higher because you're doing a short sale. So, let me go back. The appraiser is going to give you a real value. What happens is the person selling the short sale always gets beat up. Why? Because they now know it's a short sale. Okay, when they find out. So if you know someone has to leave, right? So your buddy's selling his car. right? And he wants $5,000 for it. But you know he really needs the money. Would you offer him 5 or would you offer him less? Anyone? Jump in.
Offer less. We need the money.
Right. So I'll give you 4. Come on, you know it's worth 5. Yeah, but I got 4. Why? Because when you know someone's desperate, you offer less. So in many cases, that property could appraise for a little bit more, but now the appraiser's got to ride the game. Well, I don't want to get it too high. I don't want to get it too low. So he kind of has to make it work, which is what comes in.
Well,
So
that's-
normally you're doing a short sale. Does everyone know what a short sale is? Raise your hand if you know. Okay, so I got to explain what a short sale is. All right, so you bought a house in 2006. You paid $775,000. You put 10% down and you borrowed $710,000. 2017, because that was the height of the market, it's worth $500,000. But you still owe $600. How do you sell your house? I owe $600, but it's only worth $5. Well, it's called a short sale. You're selling it short of what's owed. And you have to get, not only do you have to sign off on it, but the bank has to sign off accepting the less money. Got it? So, and unless you're going to pay the bank the $100,000, you have what's called a short sale. So, in order for that contract to go through, all those papers has to get filled out and go to the bank, and the bank officer's got to sign off saying, "We'll take the $550 minus the whatever they got to pay the realtors and stuff."
So then you don't owe the bank the extra $100,000.
No, but what ends up happening is they had what would normally happen is the bank is going to give you what's called a 1098 at the end of the year. Why? You actually took $100,000 from the bank, but you never paid the money back, and they forgave it. You don't owe the bank the 100. They could go after you and you can file bankruptcy. But if they write it off, which they normally do, you're going to get a 1098, which says you have a passive income. You made $100,000 because you took it from me, but you didn't pay it back. So you will pay tax on that $100,000. Okay, that's the main rule. Then they came in and said, "Look, we got to help people get out of these houses," and they passed a rule that said, from this year to this year, 2013, if you do a short sale, you fill out this form and you don't owe any taxes on that 1098, okay? But it ended in 2013. So I got to check to see if they extended it because we're pretty much through short sales, even though there's still some there. Now, it's not a regular foreclosure that's specific to a short sale. I'm still in the house. I have for sale because I want out, and I still owe the bank more money than it's worth, okay? Now you got to do a whole bunch of things to get in and out of that deal. Short sales, any questions on it? It's different than a foreclosure. You look like you have another question.
No, I'm just trying to understand. The appraiser came in and said, "I don't want to alarm the bank that you're getting a good deal on this house, so I'm not really going to give you what it's worth." And we know that it's worth a lot more money, but I just don't.
Again, if the bank raises too much, if the appraiser brings it in, again, too high, that bank could come back and go, "All right, you got to close on this date." And if you don't close on that date, they cancel your contract. And most of the time, you're stuck because they never give you enough time because they think they're going to get $50,000 more. I've seen it happen. They don't always do it, but that's a specific case where you got a real good deal. I closed on actually it was a bank foreclosure. So as opposed to a short sale, was it foreclosure or was it a short sale?
Mine is a short sale.
It's a short sale. I'm surprised they didn't get more for it then. But if there's a big number, they're usually not going to give it too much. So if that value number was 275 and you're buying it for 230, it may come in at 235, 240, 245, and you could easily write that down. It's vacant, it's this, it's a quick sale, so it's a kind of a different number. But they don't always come in lower than the price. It might come in a couple bucks. The one I did came in a couple bucks higher, but not enough to make a difference to the bank. They'll try to keep 3,000, 4,000 and make it just a little bit more. So my guy was actually buying a foreclosure, and goes, dude, this house is worth way more. Yeah, once you move in it, put a little landscape, repaint it, it's gonna be worth 100,000 more. But the bank doesn't want to do the work. You're gonna do the work and fix it. All right? Appraisals. Guys, I'm not gonna quiz you on it other than the fact that understand those pages that talk about the value, why it's worth what it's worth. Read that page number 2 with the comps and look at the difference between the houses. Then match that up with the pictures. That truly is going to be where you're going to find your issues, because even the other pages that have declining market or it's in an urban area, even though it may say that, that's not as important because all the houses are supposed to be right there. So really, what are you looking for? Do I need to read all 35 of these pages to understand why it came in low? No, I only got to look at the value of my house, the comments to the house, maybe the basement was flooded, maybe the floors are torn out, maybe the roof's got a hole in it. That's what's making it lower. Or maybe there's a reason why one of the other houses came in so much higher or so much lower. Okay? You want to look at the comparables and you want to look at the condition of the house that you're financing. Those are the only 2 things that will really make a difference in the market value. And understand it's very okay to question an appraisal, but you have to have a basis in questioning. If you want to call up the appraisal management firm and say, that's ridiculous, that house ain't worth that, it's got to be worth more. We're going to look at you and go, why? Do you have a reason, or you just feel like it? So the valuations are exactly the same. They just have to be careful of concrete that's damaged, stairs, paint. They really got to kind of outline it. But in reality, it's not much different than a conventional appraisal. It's all the same forms and all the same docs. There may be a couple of extra certifications and that's it. Okay? And it says done for FHA, done for conventional. The notifications are in the forms. But it's not a wholesale difference. It's not even, it's all the same program. Any other questions on people or values?
How much it doesn't, these kind of appraisal cost?
Oh, this was 500. Most appraisals now run between 450 and can go as high as 1,000. A regular house is about 450. An FHA might be 500 because they have $50 extra. Multifamily houses, they got to do a lot more work. In condos, even though you think it's easier, it's not, because he's got to look at condo docs. He's got to get more documents in here to verify the association fees. So he's got to make more phone calls. So appraisals will run anywhere from 450 to 1,000. Also, where you're doing your loans, knowing that we're going to have customers from all around the country. If you live in Texas and even Florida, I've had appraisals come back at 750, 800, 900, 1,000 for a regular house. Why? Because they live in the middle of nowhere. And the appraiser's got to drive an hour there and an hour back. Well, that's 2 hours out of his time. He could have did 2 other appraisals locally if he stayed in, let's say, the Orlando area. But now he's got to go out to farm country. Same thing in Texas. you could be the only house for 75 miles. Literally, there's nothing. You leave town, it says, you're now leaving Austin city limits. And you drive for about 6 hours, and then it goes, you're now entering the limits of Podunk town. And you look and go, well, what was in the middle? And they tell you, nothing. Nobody owns it. Swear to God, I drove it. Nobody owns it. Well, what was that? Nothing. So
I
if you,
drove in Austin, miles and miles, and there was just an H&R Block office in the middle of nowhere.
What?
Please, coffee somewhere.
they might have been making meth
I don't know.
in the building.
H&R.
It was a fake H&R block.
But literally, other areas of the country, the fees are going to be different because of how hard it is to get to and how long it takes to get to it. They actually bid it out, what I found out, because in Florida, when you're in the farm area, and I actually just did one about a year ago, they actually call up different appraisers. Because what happens is we have to order appraisers to an appraisal management firm. We are no longer allowed to speak to the actual appraiser. We got to talk to the management firm. They hire the appraiser and get the job done. So the appraiser gets less money and they make a little piece, but that's my contact. And what they end up doing is they'll call 5 appraisers and say, hey, I got an appraisal at this location. Who wants it and how much? Guy might say, I want 700. He's real busy. One guy might not be too busy and say, give me 600 or 650. And what they'll do is they'll farm it out to the cheapest guy. Okay? But where you're in Oklahoma, you're in Texas, you're in the central Florida, you're in places like that, it's going to be way different than here. There's nowhere, I mean, we have appraisers that live in the farm area. That's who they were going to call to get the appraisal. Okay? While I like the guys I have, they try to find someone local to that area so they know the properties, they know the people, they know the land, and they're not going to kill us in numbers. Okay? One thing you will know is if someone came to the house and it said there was a leak in the ceiling, must be repaired, and the railing on the steps is missing. So we can't close without knowing that that's done. So the people, whether they're refinancing, have to get it done. The sellers will have to pay for it, or the buyers can pay for it. But then we have to send out what's called a final inspection. So we have to get the appraiser to go back out, take a picture of the repaired work, and give us a final inspection. And that number is usually $175. So you may have just paid $500 for the appraisal, and because more work was needed, you're gonna have to pay another $175. Sometimes your customer will go, why do I gotta pay? I'm buying their house. Well, that's a negotiation between them and them, not us. We just know it's gotta be paid. So our client pays for it, and if they want to remunerate them at the closing, they can. Has nothing to do with us. You're buying a house, you've applied with us, this guy won't go there without the fee, and that's how it gets paid. It goes right on your card. They call you up, they bill you, and then they send the guy out. Nobody does an appraisal without collecting their money first.
That final, you said the final
Inspection.
That's runs for like $175.
Yes.
Okay.
So how is his job different from a local home inspector?
Home inspector doesn't give you valuation. He just tells you things are working or not. I'll give you my real answer. I really don't like home inspectors. If you are in a house and the floors look like this and the house looks creepy, I would get a home inspection. But appraiser's going to go in, he's got to turn on the heater. He's got to check to see the water side. He's got to check the AC's working. He's got to make sure the lights in every room work. All the windows got to go up and down. Doors got to open and close. They got to lock. He'll hit the garage door opener. It goes up, it goes down. It goes up, it goes down. Good. Goes in the basement. Everything's working. All the buttons. He hits the electric. He makes sure everything is working. And then he goes and does evaluation. Home inspector, I kind of compare it to, I'm going to buy a used car. So I tell the guy, I'm going to take it to my mechanic. And I take my used car to the mechanic. And I go, dude, what do you think? He goes, well, the brakes work. Engine, the car started. Everything seems good. You give the guy you give him $200. You give the guy selling the car to $5,000, and 2 days later, the transmission blows. He's got no idea. What he's doing is he's going, that's a 30-year roof. The house is 22 years old. It's got eight years left. The furnace is a 15-year furnace. It's 10 years old. You got 5 years left. He's going to tell you it works, but he's also going to make it look like, everything's negative, because if anything goes wrong, you can come back to him and his insurance. You told me it was good. It blew up already. Well, I told you it had 3 to 5 years left. That doesn't mean it's good. It just means it's got 3 to 5 years left. When I recommend is if you're buying a foreclosure, not really a short sale because they're in it, but you know, a short sale is indicative of there being the homeowner still in the house. Okay, foreclosure is the bank already took it. They're foreclosed, the bank owns it, not you. And there's work. You know there's work. But if you know there's work, you buy an old crappy house that you're going to renovate. I don't need a home inspection. I'm going to put a new heater. I'm going to put a new furnace. I'm going to do what it takes because I'm buying it as investment. I'm buying this house for 100. I'm going to put 100 into it. Like I told you about the guy. Lady bought it for 85, put 80 into it, sold it for 250. She doesn't care if the heater works because she's putting a new one in because she's renovating it for resale. Okay. But if you're buying a house and it looks like it's off, or you see a big crack in the foundation, you want to get a check. That's when you're going to need an engineer. Now, I always say, let me get the appraiser, and the appraiser will note, foundation looks like it's got a big crack. Let's get an inspector in. The roof was wavy. So I don't usually recommend a home inspector unless a customer goes, I want one. Go get one. Don't show it to me. I don't need it. Appraiser will tell me what I need to know. If you show me the home inspection and the thing says he's only got 2 years left on the roof, my underwriter may say, I need a roof certification. And that's another $100 to get the certification. And it's all because you gave me that inspection. If the appraiser looks at it and says, well, it looks good and there's no leaks inside, I don't want to know. It's on you. You're buying the house. You did the walkthrough. But if you give me that report, I got to hand it in. So I tell them, do it. Don't show it to me. Don't give it to me. I don't want to know. Because they're always going to make it look like everything has some version of wrong to protect their tail. Right? More questions on? Good question, home inspection. Who brought it up? One of you two did. What else? Any other questions? Jerry, what do you want to throw in?
I don't know, I'm just looking. Looking at the crew.
All right, we're good. Read. Oh, everybody make a copy. You know what? I want to spend 5 minutes. What listing did you bring in? Yeah? Why'd you pick it?
It's a question here on the chat. If you want to answer, if you want to answer this question.
What's the question? Hold on.
Also, what? Caroline, she asked how and who pays for the appraisal, and does it come out of the price of the house?
No. The people buying the house or refinancing will get a phone call from the appraisal company, and you'll pay them, and then they'll assign someone to go appraise the property. So it's actually your expense to get an appraisal.
All right.
Yeah, I'll make a list of what we.
Are you typing that?
I just need
Or
to-
she
Jesus,
was
yeah,
online?
she lit.
So go ahead, tell me the house and where it's at.
It's in Branchford Township, right? Somerville, basically it's Somerville. Yeah, so me and her, we did it
Make an email.
a couple weekends together. So it's about 625,000.
Yeah, what's it?
625, nice. What are the taxes on it?
Taxes,
No, you gotta read it, you don't
I
know?
have to go, I'm gonna move right now.
How big is it?
It's about 2,800 square.
How many bedrooms?
13,000.
What'd you get?
We did ours together, it's in Lincoln Park.
We got 2 brothers marrying 2 sisters. That's what's going on here? All right.
That's what I thought.
That's what I'm noticing.
I just said
All right, so where are you looking? Near them or like you don't want to hang out too close to them? That's what I thought. I'm in. You want to make it at least like a half-hour drive, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Exactly.
Otherwise, you'll be watching their kids all the time. I can tell. So where's your house?
It's in Lincoln Park, Somerset County. So
What kind of house is it?
More of a traditional.
Colonial?
Yeah,
Ranch? Upstairs? Downstairs?
yeah.
We got bedrooms are upstairs?
Yeah.
All right. What are the taxes?
Bad
Bad news. If you're buying a house, you better know. How many bedrooms?
Property taxes.
How many?
4.5.
You plan to have a lot of kids?
No, just a lot
Big
of
A lot of guests?
Big tax.
No, just,
Okay.
Do you guys have an idea if it's near water? I know it's not because I know the town you're in. Suburban area, urban area, what would you say?
Suburban. Yeah.
Ryan, what'd you pick?
1513 Newback Road, Wall Township, New Jersey.
And why'd you pick that house?
It's a nice big house, and I like the town wall.
No, you do. What kind of taxes?
If I was to guess, it's 670,000. So I'd say the taxes are probably around 14.
Oh, you guys got lofty goals. I love it. You guys gonna have to sell a lot of mortgages.
4 bedrooms, 3 baths, 3
Nah, I'm
3,000
looking for a different one.
But you said you weren't getting married, having kids. What do you need 4 bedrooms? Hold on. I want to hear what he's got to say. Why are you getting 4 bedrooms?
Well, only one room, my room. That's the only room's gonna have like stuff in.
And the other room's gonna be empty.
Everything else.
You can have your friends move in, rent to them.
Oh yeah,
How big's the backyard?
that's decent size.
Pool?
No pool.
Oh.
Horses?
I could always put a pool
No,
in.
you
No, you
can't.
can't.
No,
You
you
can't
can't.
buy a house.
You know how much it costs to put a pool?
Right.
Get out of here.
Or-
If I can afford this house, I can afford a pool.
Not necessarily. You
I
wanna
mean,
buy the house?
Monthly mortgage payments $2,491.
Yeah, that's without tax.
Once you give him the name of the process, he's going, someone told him.
No,
I won't.
no, we'll take care of it.
I won't do without you.
3,900.
Well, get the info. Find out where we are.
I'm curious that the appraisal's done. I'll talk to you.
Taxes and insurance.
Your phone might.
Tommy.
4,000, 41.
What house did you pick up?
I also got a house and pool. 690.
Well, you guys cousins?
Yeah, we wanted to get neighbors.
Oh, all right.
619, 3 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, 2,400 square feet.
Nice. What kind of house is it?
Small.
How many bedrooms?
3.
3. Okay, you're only gonna have 2 kids. That's good. Pool? Taxes.
You guys have pools.
It has taxes. I know that. Yes, yes is not the answer. All right, he's got to look it up, dude. That's a big number. Paolo, what'd you pull up?
Okay, I decided to go in West Windsor. It's a 5 bedroom, 3 baths, 3,200 square feet. The mortgage payment is 20% down. It's like $2,500 a month.
Are you getting remarried with more kids, or?
No, I'm just looking because I like it.
Oh, okay.
So it's actually they asking for 665, and half a year ago it was at 717. And the reason I like it is it's because close to a park and very close to the Princeton Junction train station, which gives you easy access to New York and Philadelphia. And it's about a 5 minutes car drive into Princeton, then you have a big shop.
All right, cool. He's got his whole thing mapped out. You moving in with your wife, kids, girlfriend. So do we have both? Nelma, where's your house?
I'm buying a house in Kingsford. It's an investment property,
Nice.
2 family, 5 bedrooms, 2 bath. It's a short sale. I like short sales. The asking price is 131. I put in a bid and got awarded
Nice. For how much?
for 100 and.
So she's got a house she actually bought. Let's go. For how much?
112.
And what's the rent's gonna be on it?
The front house will be about 2,000. The back house will be 1,000.
So it's
Is
gonna
it
more
2
than.
separate units?
Yes,
We're gonna have to worry about getting that appraisal done.
Flood
But
insurance?
yes.
Are there other like properties?
Kingsburg, yeah.
Kingsburg?
I have another one like that.
With 2 structures?
I already have it.
So your return of investment will be really good. Did you check out what the zoning is on the flood?
Yes.
AE or X?
What is it? EX?
Usually it's AE or X.
2 letters. AX.
AE, it's probably AE. So that won't be too bad, but check it to make sure.
We did it together.
Marie?
I actually was online, I didn't print it, but I was looking at a property in Homedale. It's actually one of the oldest developments in Homedale, the Newstead development. It's a house for about $375. It's on a quarter.
Very, 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 very good price for Homedale.
It is. It's about 2,700 square feet. It's on.
What kind of
almost
house?
An acre. It's a front to back split.
A front to back split, that's new to me. Tell me what that is.
When you walk in, you're walking into your living room, dining room, and then your kitchen.
No stairs, you walk right in that
You
level?
walk in on that level, and then about 6 feet to your left, you have 6 steps going up,
Bedrooms.
and then there's 3 bedrooms and 1 full bath upstairs. As the stairs are going up, there's another set of steps going down, like 6 or 7 steps going down. You have a full laundry room, walk-in laundry room, and you have a whole floor down. It's like a family room and sunroom and a full bath downstairs. There is a basement. It's a half basement. It's like a crawl. It's like a 3 to foot.
So one level's ground level, one level's higher, and third level's higher, and there's a little basement.
Yeah, and it has cathedral ceilings going up, and what makes it most attractive is the cathedral ceilings going up.
Right, got it.
Yeah.
All right, what about you?
All right, so I remember last week you told us it has to be under 75 or at least around that area. So I found something.
Wait, under what?
You said 75K at least.
No.
75.
No, I didn't say what. You pick the house you want. Come on, I'm gonna tell
Oh
you.
man, see,
I'm gonna
if I
tell
knew
you
that-
where you gotta buy a house.
Because I wrote it down. If I knew that, I mean, I got
I
something.
said just make sure it's realistic.
Oh no, all right, I got.
Otherwise,
something.
I'm buying Tyson's old mansion.
I got 69,000. It's a.
You're buying it for you to live in, or you want to rent it out?
I mean, it has 3 beds. I think I might rent it out.
Rent it out.
It has 3 beds, two full, 1 half bed.
Where is it?
It's in Trent.
You moving to
Because I-
Trenton?
Yeah. Well,
We can get you some grant money.
I actually
We can help you out with that, brother.
We can help you.
It's you were asking about percentage. It's 20%. Down payment.
Well, you can put down whatever you want, whatever the program allows you to put down. But if it's investment, you can put down at least 10, but you more than likely 20 is better. You won't pay that much.
It's a nice
Little house?
condo area. Yeah, I think it's.
Is it a condo or is it a house?
Yeah.
Floors, nice. It's a townhouse. It looks nice. and
It
clean.
looks like refurbished, like the.
You can get real good values in Trenton. Just got to worry they don't blow it up on you. And you, sir?
All right, I got this one. It's in Somerset, New Jersey. 10 Terrence. It's a 4-bedroom with 3 bathrooms. It's listed for $499, 900,000.
4 bedrooms?
Yeah, it's 4
Get
bedrooms,
married
3
soon, or you
bathrooms.
just like the space?
I like the space.
All right.
I might get married soon.
You know, you can get 3 friends and rent them out for $700 apiece.
And I could do that, make some money.
That's what I would
Smart
do.
way. I like the house honestly because it has a nice like entertaining section. It's a full backyard. Like for catering, like for events like that. Everything is like new and refurbished. It's coming soon. It said this was a listing said it was coming soon.
Ah, so it's not listed yet. They're giving you a little enticement.
Huh?
They're enticing
a
you.
little enticing, yeah.
All right.
But it's
Taxes,
brand
we know
new.
what they are?
The taxes.
You got to look at your taxes right away.
Yeah, the taxes. Let's see.
Kevin, you got something you looked at or no?
Yeah.
He's actually looking. What are you looking at?
It's a townhome in Edentown, and it's like 458.
He just sold the house, so he's now looking to buy.
I just sold it on.
He's mooching off his brother right now.
I'm mooching off my brother. Right? Taxes are $7,500. It's cheap. I got condo association fees are cheaper.
Oh, nice.
Yes.
See, that's important. I'm qualifying people. If your taxes are high, and we just went one, I'm like, look, you get to a certain number. This house has got $7,000 in taxes. Same house, if it had $5,000 in taxes, he qualifies. That extra $2,000 is almost a $250 difference. That changes the number.
What would you do if it's like a house coming soon? Because it only shows the last year taxes on here. That was $8,690.
Well, the taxes aren't going to change.
Yeah, it's not gonna change.
They are what they are. If they change, it's because the town is changing them.
The town.
Has nothing to do with coming soon, not coming
Okay.
soon. But the key is coming soon means it's not fully listed yet. Maybe they're getting ready to fix it up
Okay.
so they can put it on the market. All right, guys, make a copy of what you did. Make sure your name's on it. Hand it to me. And now I got to do some real work. Arrivederci. Arrivederci.
Make a copy.
Ryan? Where's Ryan? Ryan is? Ryan?
You are. I just sent you the last thing.
I saw that. Thank you.
Right.
We had to make a copy of it. No, I understand that, but I'm saying that whatever. Just.
All right, the meeting I think is now over. The recording will be sent back to everybody later on this evening. Everybody have a nice day. Leave this thing.